Hey y'all, we got one final Shack together before the end of the year, and what better way to wrap things up than by going through the Shacknews Awards, the results of which are news to John and I, who are getting the scoop from Asif. That's right, Asif's going to run the main segment today and run us through all of the awards given out by the talented staff at shacknews.com. So this is a pretty laid back one, and will be a bit of a recap if you have seen the site, but still worth a listen. We of course have TJ, Denzer, and Greg Burke joining us to round out the crew. So without further ado, thanks for being here. Thanks for a year of Shack together almost, and Happy New Year, and can't wait to kick things off in January with episode 46. Until then, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are, you're probably not on Twitter anymore because it's garbage, but there's all these pictures of the Superman movie being shot in Cleveland that are going live, and people are like, oh, Progressive Fields featured in this, and like, it's just kind of funny. Like, Metropolis is Cleveland.
Wow.
And I can't think of a more disappointing Metropolis than that.
I thought Metropolis was supposed to be like a metropolis.
Thanks. Yeah, we have two buildings in Cleveland, so I don't know how they pulled that off. Like, it's like, there's our two buildings. Like, and you think about like Gotham or these DC universe cities, and they're all like, very gothic looking buildings everywhere. Like, that's not Cleveland. Cleveland
very World's Fair looking. Yeah, all the buildings in the comics. Yeah, very either gothic or World's Fair. Yeah,
and that's not Cleveland. Cleveland is industrial is the best way to describe it. But yeah, I think it's funny that they're like they filmed at Progressive Field in Cleveland. I remember they were doing these auditions for, not even auditions, but you could just show up to be an extra in a scene and stuff. But yeah, it was great for the city of Cleveland.
Do we know who Superman is?
Yeah,
Clark Kent.
Pretty good.
Got me.
Good one, Craig.
Got me.
That's a good cold opener.
Roasted my ass.
This is where Joe says he can't be Clark Kent. Superman doesn't wear glasses. How would he see?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's funny to see all these people like freaking out about Cleveland.
We're not going
being
to tell
there.
me after all that.
Oh no, is it? Sorry.
After all that roasting,
I honestly, I don't know.
I don't know. It's like, here, let me see.
Is it? It's David Corin Sweat.
Duchovny.
Okay. No,
Yeah, David Corin Sweat.
I don't know who that is. I'm looking at a picture of this person and I still don't know who he is. So I'm sorry. I'm not the pop culture guy on the staff. I'm the Cleveland guy. So I'm telling you about what happened in Cleveland, not this guy. And honestly, like, that guy, yeah, he looks like, he could be Superman, right? He
I
looks
guess
like
so.
Superman.
And then this is him as Clark Kent, to Greg's point. There you go.
That's good. It's like a Jack Antonoff.
He has glasses.
Clark Kent. Yeah.
Dude,
Well,
Jack Antonoff
6'4".
having a hell of a year, right?
He's having a hell of a year.
And he's a New Jersey native, right?
He's not only a New Jersey native, he's a Moon Rock guy, and but yeah, he's a New Jersey native. His father, we know him like as a family friend, sort of thing.
I just think it's funny, like, he so many people like call him, oh, that's Taylor Swift's producer, and it's like, yeah, but he's also like from the punk rock scene in Jersey, and he also produced GNX for Kendrick. Like, he's on his own band. Like, he's a very talented musician in his own right. Like, but yeah, he's a great hip hop producer. It's just funny. Like, he's I saw this interview with him at Nardwuar, and it was like they were just like the Spider-Man pointing at each other meme, because it was like
funny. Yeah,
like, I love Nardwuar. Like, I think Nardwuar might be the best interviewer in the world. And you know how he brings gifts for people and stuff, and then it was kind of like, it's a great interview. It's from like 9 months ago, but like, I'm sure he was already working on some of these Kendrick songs then.
he was like, literally, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not trying to name drop or anything. Rick Antonoff is his dad, so he and we end up talking quite a bit. And he called me like 6 months ago. No, a few months ago, whenever the Drake Kendrick beef was happening, right? And 616 from LA came out, which was the Jack Antonoff produced diss track that they never could quite get out there because of the not Bill Withers. I forget what the sample was. Yeah, they couldn't get clearance. Al Green. So they couldn't get it, not for anything, but Al Green, like the estate is very slow in clearing samples. Anyway, he's like, there's going to be a whole album that comes out, and Jack is doing like 10 songs, and Kendrick came in and, you know, like with he's a real family guy, brought his kids and this and that and the other. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's going to be a whole album of this shit. He's like, they're working constantly on music right now. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy. So then, like, obviously the beef happens, and I don't see an album. And I'm like, maybe all the songs sucked? I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't come out. And then, yeah, GNX drops, and it's a good album. I say the new Tyler, the Creator album, is, like, so fucking good. But it's nice to see. I like Kendrick. And
I think I'm not a fan of Tyler, the Creator, but
really?
As a person, I think he's kind of a douchebag. But Kendrick, I think, stands above everyone right now. Reincarnated is like one of the best tracks I've heard in years. But going back to 616 in LA, you know what's really funny about that? The person who plays guitar on that Al Green track is Drake's uncle.
That's funny. I didn't know that. That's fucking weird.
He's using his own family's music against him.
That's so weird.
That era though,
bad. Oh my god.
That week where you had Euphoria and 616 in LA,
like the whole
Meet the Grams, and then obviously he swept the leg with Not Like Us.
Yeah.
And then he came back and he had Watch the Party Die. But it was interesting because, to your point about 616 in LA, they didn't release that. They seeded it to some YouTube channel and some social media company, and those people posted it. So they weren't monetized.
They posted it. It's like, that's why you don't hear it. And the song's good, but like, you know, it just never got any play. Because I guess to your point, like they just seeded it to some YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I love that they demonetized or they allowed monetization. That was such a smart move too.
Allowing those reaction video people to use the content without that was really smart. Is why it went viral. And then Drake accused them of using bots, even though that's what he did. He did that against Pusha T and stuff. Anyway,
never saw somebody deleted so quickly for music. Like when a Drake song comes on, I don't know if we talked about this, but like, because, you know, shuffle or whatever, it's like an instant skip at this point. And I don't know if that's fair or not.
My algorithm knows me. It does not recommend Drake to me at all. It's really funny because, like, I only listen to half the beef. I only listened to the Kendrick side. So then when Reincarnated came out, like someone explained to me what Tailor Made was, and I was like, oh, sure. I'm like, oh, this makes me hate Drake even more because I love Tupac. And I'm like, you're gonna use AI to make your voice sound like Tupac? Fuck that. What Kendrick did on Reincarnated is how you do right by Tupac. You sample his track and you use his cadence, and you use your voice. So that's why I think Reincarnated is so important as a song. But yeah, like, was it Squabble Up? That's probably one of the best songs I've heard in years. And that's just a great sample. Jack is like amazing at sampling shit. And then there's also like Mustard, and there's all these other producers working on that album with Jack Antonoff. So it's just like Whacked Out Murals, that first song on the album. I was like, who made this beat?
It's a good song. Yeah, that's good.
I go digging. It's like 7 people are credited on that track. So it's like, I don't know who made it, but salute to all of you. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard. But yeah, that's been my GNX has been my rotation. It's just on loop. Not the whole album, but yeah, like I think most of the songs are extremely well produced. But
it's a good album.
But it's like definitely, I can see how, like, if you're on the East Coast, you're like, yeah, because it's like the West Coast anthem. Like I think if you're in California, you need to be listening to that. Especially
I just like
SoCal.
Some of his other albums better, but like,
not being no doubt
about it. Just
it's like,
I'm surprised that everybody gives a shit, and like, not now, but like before, and I'm like, it's just nice, like, kind of cool to see somebody just, it's meteoric, kind of, and I never seen, you don't see that too often, I don't think.
I think it's because I hate Drake. I've hated him for a really long time. It starts from just going to Cavs games, man, and seeing him at the Cavs
Well,
I've been to so many Cavs Raptors games and seen that douchebag and the turban guy, and just
and turban guy.
Oh, turban guy.
I do know. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That guy would sit in the front row in front of people with his big ass turban on, pissing them off. Like he's.
Well, he wasn't meaning that. He wasn't wearing the turban to piss people off. Was he?
But he was.
Oh, okay.
It's like when I sit in front of you at a movie theater. You're like, oh god, this giant just sat down in front of me. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, funny. Drake acting like he's coaching the team and shit, and like high fiving people, and taking every L known to mankind against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It is corny.
Insufferable. I hate that guy. He used to just be the guy in the Kid Cudi video, man. That's where that was like, oh, he's that guy, and then suddenly he's like Drizzy. I'm like, wait, this guy from frickin' Degrassi? He's gangster now? This Degrassi motherfucker is now gangster. Okay, got it. Anyway, West Coast.
West Coast, right?
As I sit here in Canton, Ohio. I don't know, Joe. Do you have any kind of cold open in there? Probably. Third episode in a row, you're going to cut out gang violence?
Yeah, we've talked about Kendrick Lamar for the past 4 weeks, and none of it made it live. None of it made it to production. So I'll indulge y'all. We can do.
Thank God, finally. He got nominated for a Shacknews Award. We'll get into it.
Great.
That's funny. So let's start the show, right?
Let's do it.
It's Shack Together in America, the internet. Did it work?
No, I mean,
no.
The major beats came through, but there was clipping.
Great. I don't know what to do, man. It's
maybe that's our thing. Maybe that's our thing.
It's our brand. Yeah. I just blow out the microphone in the first 3 seconds of the show. Okay. If this is your first time joining us, sorry. I'm really trying to get that intro nailed down. But maybe next season, right? Maybe next year. I'm gonna review the tape. I'm gonna practice, and I will figure this out. But yeah, Shack Together is a Shacknews video game podcast. We are wrapping up our first year, featuring myself, Asif Khan, co-host John Benjamin is here.
Yo.
Our producer Joe Stasio is here.
Hello.
Head of video at Shacknews, Greg Burke's here. I don't know if that made it into the microphone.
It did. It was perfect.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Sweet. And as senior news editor at Shacknews, very important position because almost half of Shacknews is news. TJ Denzer's here.
Yo.
Hey, you couldn't be here for the trivia. What was it called?
The 2024 Games Trivia Bonanza.
There you go. I was going to say Jamboree, but I knew
all the second questions.
Yeah.
Getting wrong.
Yeah, TJ, you got to listen back and just be like, I would have got that one right.
I'm definitely going to, because like Stasio was telling me right before this that like there were certain questions that were like specifically made to challenge me, and I would love to know what they were.
Yeah. So this is a special episode. We're going to be talking about the Shacknews Awards and our Game of the Year. I figured we'd talk about our Indie Game of the Year list and our Game of the Year list, and maybe a couple of select awards that we gave out. And I'll just kind of give you guys the category and what they are, and we'll let John and Joe kind of guess. I think that would be a fun way to handle the awards. But before we do that, we might as well talk about what we're playing. TJ, what have you been playing lately?
Oh, man. I have to actually go look. There's been a lot of things we've been trying to get through as the year closed out, like playing some last things on our Game of the Year list. I've been going back to Stalker 2 pretty consistently, and I like being in that world. It's weird and dangerous and pretty atmospheric. I love the weather system in the game, and I don't know, something about like spelunking into scary radioactive caves full of monsters and perhaps people with guns to find artifacts that can like give me strange powers at the cost of radioactivity is kind of just... It's been a while since we had a really good Fallout game, So Stalker 2 is kind of scratching that itch in a way that other games just really can't.
Mm-hmm. I think the whole what I don't know what they call it in the game, but like the emissions, right?
Mhm.
I think that mechanic's pretty cool. That it's not like when it shows up, it's like a huge environmental thing that you're like, oh god, I gotta do something. It's like that game goes from like moments of almost peace and tranquility when you're walking through the world, and then it's just like scary as crap. But I like the balance of those two things. It's been fun watching people play it. I'm too I don't know. I haven't had a chance to really dive into it that much.
When you're wandering through the world and like the sky is like a darkish green and lightning is striking the ground around you and the wind is blowing leaves around you, which is all like things that happen in that game, it's just kind of, you feel like weirdly like a badass walking through the plains of that world, like surviving it. I've also been playing Total War Warhammer 3. That game, it's like Total War games have been like grand strategy games for probably more than a decade at this point, I imagine.
Yeah, let's go back, yeah.
And Total War Warhammer 3 is like the treasure chest, like the everything is here of Warhammer and a strategy game. Like, nearly every single faction in the fantasy version of that universe is represented, and they all play pretty different from one another. And I had a project to write a feature for the new DLC that came out, which brought a few new faction leaders to the game. And like dipping my toes back into the game made me like, I haven't played in a while, so dipping my toes back into the game made me go like, there's so much more here than when I last opened this. I need to go see what this is about. And like, I have been like going through the factions, seeing how they play, seeing what their units are like, seeing what their campaigns are like, and their little bits of narrative are like. And I've been having a blast just like figuring out which one fits me best and which one I want to take to the end of the game.
This game was released after Three Kingdoms, right? Does it use some of the things that Three Kingdoms introduced? Like, because I feel like that was one of those big moments in gameplay shift for this, where there was like actual, like, it would zoom in on like champion battles, like 1v1 stuff, which is like cool because you know, Total War is this like giant army versus army thing, but there would still be these like cinematic kind of moments. Does this game have something similar?
You can kind of make it similar, like, because you can be like way up in the sky, bird's eye view, but you can also zoom the camera in to where you're like right next to these folks as they're fighting each other. I had a screenshot in the feature that I did where I was playing as the one of the Orc Lords, and they've got a unit which is just basically like a critter. It's just basically a giant mouth on 2 feet. And you can those things are like really hard to control and keep in line because they're basically just animals, and you just let them loose on enemies like shock troops. But I managed to position a group of them right behind some archers, and I was like, oh, this is going to be hilarious. So I zoomed in real close and just watched them barrel through the line of archers.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like these, like, being able, like, it's cool to look at like the scope of the world when you're fighting in it, but being able to zoom in and like watch the actual battles go down, I think it just makes it so much more entertaining of a game. If I had time, I would be playing that game because it is it's just fun. That's cool. Anything else you want to highlight?
Like I played The Long Dark on stream yesterday with Bill as kind of my guide. What a smart survival game.
Yeah.
There is so much that like they just thought about, because like it's just like you interact with something that's like, oh yeah, of course you would be able to do that because that's how that would work in real life.
Yep.
We were on stream and I took my first shot at a deer with a hunting rifle, and Bill was like, wait, go back and pick up your shell casing. And I was like, what? And I look at the snow and like, sure enough, it's on the ground. You can pick it up. And the idea is that you collect your empty shell casings because you can rework them into new ammunition later.
Yeah, you can recycle. You got to be. It's very much like a conservationalist vibe at times because part of survival, right, is like not being wasteful. They've spent so much time on that game. The thing that sticks out to me whenever I see a clip of it, it has excellent sound design. Like it's super immersive. Like stepping on the snow, or when you're carrying like in your bags full of stuff, like hearing that like your bag just the stuff in it. Yeah, like it's just really, really well designed. And they've spent 10 years refining it.
Yeah, it's also visually like it doesn't demand much out of your PC or whatever you're playing on.
Yeah,
but it's still beautiful because the whole world is stylized, kind of like a watercolor painting.
Yes, it is. It is the kind of game where it can run on Switch. Like which so many games can't.
TJ, are you playing like survival mode? Is that what it is, or is it something else? Like, because there are different modes, right? I remember playing The Long Dark. Does it get does it get stressful for you, or like how does it? What's the vibe?
Played DayZ, it doesn't stress me out because I have kind of an idea of what I want to do when I get into a game like that. But yes, there is a story mode. It's like an episodic story mode that like not only teaches you the mechanics and guides you into it, but also has like a proper narrative for you to follow.
So and that's one I did. That's like really. I thought that was really good. Like that was a great sort of story mode. It was a little almost short because you wanted to keep going. And then when I started doing the survival mode, it felt like, man, this is daunting. Like this can get really hardcore.
Yeah, and then they have sandbox mode now too. So if you just want to like have an open play session, you can do that too. So they've added a lot over time, man. It's like congratulations to them. They had a hell of a 10-year run. They're still supporting it, and they just had a big successful announcement of the sequel at the Game Awards. So yeah, and that game's gonna have co-op, John. So that's gonna be cool.
That's fun. That's cool.
I think that's that was something the community really wanted. And it's probably something that you couldn't really add to a game, but building it from the ground up, I'm sure they're gonna do something really cool with that. That's exciting. Cool, TJ.
And that's about it as far as what I've been playing.
Nice. And then, you've been playing Super Shacknews Awards writer.
Yeah.
Like everyone else on staff. Greg, I know you're playing Video Mines 2024 edition, but what else have you been playing?
I've been trying to get in games of Marvel Rivals when I had a chance.
Nice.
I'm trying to get the hang of that game and figure out how it works and what works and good heroes and bad heroes. I still haven't tried all the heroes. It's wildly...
Has your friend group picked it up at all, or are you just queuing up with randos?
No, my friend group, half of my friend group doesn't play those types of games. The other friend group is just mad because they're not good at them anymore. So I've just lost them just basically by myself now, just queuing.
Damn.
Solo. There's no friend group.
What about the Spirit Unleashed crew?
Not their game.
Are they still playing Ghostbusters at least?
They are. But like the game had an update a few months ago, which is great. But like you need constant updates, otherwise like the meta gets stale and then it just kind of teeters out. There's like one more big update they're doing for that game. So I try to get people on it, but it's tough.
Yeah, that's cool though. I'm gonna just keep us going here. John, what have you been playing lately? I think it's similar to you, probably. Just for the folks at home, so they understand, we've recorded 2 episodes this week. So
yeah.
For us,
what did I play over the last 24 hours?
Yeah. What have you played since our last recording session?
I'll say what I played a few days ago. PlayStation Store. There's actually a pretty awesome sale that by the time of this this airing or whatever, it might be done. So this doesn't help. But kind of loaded up on some really good deals, and it was like Horizon, the newest Horizon. I noticed I never played it. I think I still have a backlog, including God of War Ragnarok, which. What am I doing? Like I should be playing that, but
you bought the PS5 Pro, right?
I did because
you have a reason to like go and play some of these games that are enhanced on it. So God of War Ragnarok, that makes sense.
Like a few months ago, I think I mentioned I was about to like really tuck in and like really go into these games, and then I'm like, just wait for Pro, and now that Pro's here. It's the holiday season and there's always something happening. So I'm waiting for the holiday break. And then I think it's God of War. I do want to check out Horizon. I wasn't like the biggest... Honestly, I didn't love the original. Like I get it. I just didn't love it. But I heard the second one is even better.
I feel the opposite for what it's worth.
Really? You're saying that the first one is better?
I think it's tighter. I think most of the PS4 franchises are like that. I think the first God of War is significantly better. I think the first Horizon is a little tighter and the story's a lot stronger. But not trying to poo-poo you, but in terms of what you choose to dive into first, maybe I wouldn't vote Horizon.
Well, there's also The Last of Us Part 2, which these are big games I just didn't play, and it's not. It's just there are some awesome games that I've played other pretty awesome games. I think it's time for me to catch up. So I think between those three, pretty busy. So this is more about what am I looking forward to playing, and that's where I'm at.
Have you played Zelda Echoes of Wisdom?
I have. Yeah. Echoes was.
Did you beat it?
Wisdom. No, I don't beat Zelda games. You know this.
But did you like it at least?
I did like it. I actually liked it a lot.
Okay.
I don't beat Zelda games.
I understand. I do.
I like to linger. I don't want it to end.
Yeah, you just
that
wander
is the
around.
problem. I wander around.
I'm going to collect every chicken. I'm going to do this, and then
you know exactly where I'm coming from. It's like I need to do every recipe, and this.
I understand. Yeah, you're like, I want every smoothie, which means you have to find every ingredient. You want to. I got every smoothie. Zora.
I'm not even kidding.
Of course he did. He hasn't beat the game, but he has every smoothie, ladies and gentlemen.
Every recipe.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. Did you at least get to Conde up on the mountain?
I did. No? Yeah. I
love
the heck
Conde.
out of this.
How good is Conde? Such a great. I love that part of the story, man. It's fucking adorable. That game is so goddamn cute.
Very cute, gorgeous, clever. The fact that they allow you, it's like Breath of the Wild because they allow you to just
go wherever you want.
Yeah, go wherever you want, and just the mechanics. They're kind of unafraid, and I like. I didn't know how that would come across. I thought it'd be more of like a puzzle game, and it looked kind of lame. Frankly, when it first was announced, I'm like, oh, I would have much rather had like a Zelda game where Zelda's the protagonist, and she's in the thick of it, and like she's beating the hell out of people, and she is. But then it looked like there was a puzzle element. There kind of is, but no, the way they do it is really beautiful. So
I was curious
that.
Thought. I just want to shout out the game director, first woman game director in the history of the series, Tomomi Sano. So congratulations to her. I think our industry likes to clamor for diversity, equity, and inclusion at times. And I find it really strange that no one is talking about the first woman game director in the history of the Zelda franchise. I think that's
right. Yeah, that's true. Wow. That would be a much bigger story. Do you think that's a much bigger story if it's an American developer, or is it like just Nintendo doesn't like do that kind of PR? Like, what do you think that is? Because that should be a big story. Like, this is actually the first I've heard of that.
See what I'm saying? Like, that's
and
insane.
I would know. I should know.
That's insane to me. I think, and I talked about it on a past episode, but I think it has to do with Nintendo Switch, man. People like roll their eyes when they see the Nintendo Switch now, and it's like, if this was on Switch 2, if this was a Switch 2 launch title,
oh yeah, it's classic.
I think someone would have written about that. I just find it really strange that like it's the first time Zelda's a protagonist in the game, and you have a woman director, and she killed it. I don't know. I'm giving her flowers and Nintendo their flowers for this. See, to your point, Nintendo is always the monolithic company in front of their games, so they don't always elevate their game developers. But they did do it.
Right.
They did do like an internal interview with her though about the game. So you know how they kind of have those like Iwata Ask like things these days? They did do one of those with her. And the other one they did this year was with Alarmo. So
fuck. Yeah. I have my Alarmo. Oh, I'm playing Alarmo. I have the Alarmo on the desk. It is not a desk clock, so that kind of it is a bed clock, and my wife will not have me, have that in the room. So that was the thing.
It's for sad fats who live alone, and that's me.
My God,
I kept mine in the box, man. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need Nintendo to tell me how bad I sleep. I already know. Anyone who sees me up at the hours that I'm at,
I don't think it's a software update where it's just like a nice clock and that's it. But knowing Nintendo, that you must use it this way, it's very Apple in some of its behavior, I think.
Yeah. That was like specifically designed for the bedroom and for one person, and I think that was a misstep. But it's like it's the perfect thing for a kid's room, but it costs too much to be a kid's thing. Yeah,
it's a weird. You said it before on an episode. It's just like this is a very Nintendo thing, right? But just I do think it's I don't think this is going well for them, right? I don't think they expected it to go well. Necessarily. Well, what do you think? Do you think this is selling? Because I got to figure this is not doing well.
It's sold well. It's sold out three times in Tokyo, twice in New York.
Really?
It's sold very well. Adam, our friend, his wife, the day that it was announced, his wife, not a gamer, calls him up and is like, "We have to buy this." He's like, "What are you talking about? It's $100 clock." She's like, "It's awesome."
That's so funny.
It's appealed to people who aren't even gamers, which I think is a success if you look at what Nintendo's goals are, right? But yeah, that's
my nephews want one. They don't even know what it does. They're just like, "We want an alarm." I'm like, "Do you know what it is?" They go, "What's a clock?" I go, "Do you know what it does?" They're like, "No, but we want it." It's that Mario effect for children. They just want it.
I think it's coming at a time, John, where like the Mario movie effect is still kind of swirling around. So it's like a new Nintendo thing. And then I mentioned it before. I think they're testing out a way to prevent scalpers of the Nintendo Switch 2. So it required you to sign in on a Nintendo website using a Nintendo Switch Online account. And I think that's going to be how they prevent scalpers, at least at launch for Switch 2. So I think nothing they do is by accident, right? So I think that's part of it. But also, this was something that they had been working on for a really long time. So yeah, well, that's awesome though. Now I bought one because, of course, Nintendo fan, but I kept it in the box because I'm like, this is one of those weird Nintendo things I'm just going to keep in the box. But if they do release F-Zero music for it, I will start using it as my clock. Because, I'm addicted to F-Zero stuff.
Sure.
That's cool, though. Joe, what have you played in the last day?
I did. I was thinking of this very scenario, so I was productive last night. But I have to say
Final
first...
Fantasy X all the way through.
All the way to completion. I have to say, John, you have to play... How many times have I said this on this and other podcasts? You have to play Last of Us 2, because it's unbelievable, and it made me shut up about being jaded about not Naughty Dog. But second, I know you, and you will watch the HBO show, and you'll get the plot ruined for you, and that would be a shame.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
You know what? That's the game you should play over break.
Last of Us 2. That's the one.
It's excellent.
Keep me honest. We'll come back in a few weeks and we'll see what I think of that. It's just I remember the first one so friggin' dour. Like it was so.
That's the problem I have.
It is.
Long.
It is dour.
That's the only problem I have, man. It's like it is a bummer. It's a bummer.
It's a bummer, and like things are a bummer. Like so, it's like, do I want the double bummer?
No, maybe after you play it for an hour, like give yourself like 20 minutes of Astro Bot.
Astro Bot's what I'm playing. Okay, anyway, sorry, that is Joe's turn. I beat the hell out of Astro Bot. All right. New holiday theme and everything.
Oh yeah, they're, dude. Congratulations to the team Asobi. They crushed it.
Absolutely.
And I really liked what they had to say at the Game Awards. That was very sweet.
Yes.
Joe.
Yeah, Joe. What do you mean? You're bringing up Last of Us 2. Are you playing Last of Us 2?
Oh, I did my time, and I need to forget the plot before I go back. I loved it so much. It's an all-timer for me. Wow. And again, I'm trying to hammer down the point. Like Naughty Dog games, like Uncharted 2 is so good. I know, John. I know you love Uncharted 2, but I was like, this game is fine. It's just popcorn. It's fine. Last of Us 2, I was crying. I couldn't go to bed. I was like, I got to see where this story goes. Like, I was absolutely addicted to it. Loved it.
That's cool.
As a game too, I think it's fantastic.
No, their gameplay mechanics are super dope. Like they make awesome games. I'm happy about this intergalactic game that's coming up because I don't like playing The Last of Us because it is a bummer, but undeniably well made game. Sorry,
yes.
Go ahead.
No, don't be sorry. Okay, so I started Disco Elysium last night.
Nice.
On the last episode, which we recorded 20 hours ago or something, we said, Asif and I said that we're going to dive into that. So I dove into it. I'm already hooked.
Nice.
The hype is real.
It's great.
It's really good.
I dove into it during the Game of the Year deliberations, whatever year that came out, but I didn't finish it. So I'm just going to start with a new save and just go.
Yeah, you have to.
I have not been able to start, Joe.
Yeah,
I will start this weekend. But I'm also going to play F-Zero 99 like it's my job. So over break, because we mentioned this before, but we just wrapped up the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Top 96 tracks. So yeah, the entire staff is basically like, we're never playing Mario Kart again. At least 8. When 9 comes out, we're going to do it all over again.
And then you're going to rank those tracks.
Yeah, the next thing I'm going to do is rank all the F-Zero 99 tracks, Joe.
Yeah, that seems like you were called to do that by a heavenly force.
Yeah, Doug Bowser.
Right, that's what I meant. How Long to Beat says at minimum 20, at maximum 60. So I'll say we're in for a 40-hour lollipop here with Disco Elysium.
Yeah, and a hell of a story, from what I understand.
Yeah.
It's a real shame that Sam Chandler isn't here to
he's
just
geeking out.
gush about Sam Chandler is our resident Disco Elysium freak.
Evangelist, I would say.
Yeah. Sam and I tend to agree on literature, and that feels relevant for this game. So
absolutely. Yeah. It's not a narrative game, but there's a huge narrative to it. It's cool. I'm excited to get back into it. But yeah, I am excited to not play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe anymore.
Yeah. So not Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but what are you playing?
Animal Crossing, New Horizons.
Sure.
I play it once a day. Oh, you know what? I told you I was going to do this because the Nintendo year-end wrap thing happened, and I did it. I had Nintendo tell me what I played most. Can you guys guess what I played most on my Nintendo Switch this year?
Let's see.
F-Zero 99.
F-Zero 99. Correct.
Wow.
How did you guess that, Greg?
Gee, let me think.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's your favorite game in the world.
Yeah,
Goes
that's true.
wild.
It said I played 23 games on my Switch this year for 448 hours. 124 hours in F-Zero 99, which is a lot considering the average race is about 2 minutes. 60 hours in Tears of the Kingdom, mostly spent duping things. 60 hours in Balatro. So those were my top 3. So Animal Crossing did not crack my top 3. They did this interesting. I don't know. Did they do this last year where they told you like your most played game in individual months?
Yeah, they did.
I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, they do this thing where they break down the genre. I thought this was really funny, especially for people who have been listening to this podcast since the beginning, or you folks who have been here with me. My top genre was action with 28%. I'm guessing Zelda and the other Zelda probably added up to be that. Racing was second with 27, but dead last with 4%. Horse racing.
Wow.
I'm like, so Pocket Card Jockey really did make a dent into my gameplay this year for like weeks. And then, yeah, it's really funny though, because it also says playing cards, which is obviously Balatro, but Pocket Card Jockey is also a playing card game.
Yeah. And where's the competition for that genre on the
horse
eShop?
racing? Honestly, I have no idea. Is there another horse racing game on Switch I don't know about?
Not that I know.
Folks at home, let me know. I want to play it because I apparently love horse racing games.
Yeah.
Yeah. It said the most I played Switch this year was in April. I want to say that was probably a combination of an F-Zero update, and that was when I was really grinding in Tears of the Kingdom to get ready for my May stream.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I did kind of fall off into the end of the year. I think it's just because we're busy, but also, like, you know, Nintendo World Championships didn't really hit. So there was, like, a gap in my playing, and then obviously Echoes of Wisdom came out. I played 41 hours in September. But, yeah, here's the by month. January, F-Zero 99. February, F-Zero 99. They also tell you the first game you played of the year, which was F-Zero 99 for me. March, my most played game was Balatro, followed by Zelda in April, Zelda in May, and I mean Tears of the Kingdom. In June, I must have finally gotten around to playing Operation Guns and Vampire Survivors, because that was my most played game in June. July, you guys will remember we got the festival update in F-Zero 99, so that was my most played game. Nintendo World Championships came out in August, and that was my most played game. I liked it, and like, I don't know, I really like some of those games. I like Kid Icarus, and I like Zelda 2. And like, those games don't get enough love. I like Excite Bike, you know what I mean? So like, I wish that game was better than it was. And then, yeah, when I was reviewing Echoes of Wisdom, that was my most played game in that month. It was my most played game in September. Most played game in October was F-099. You guys will remember they did the anniversary event that month. And then, yeah, I'm sure no reason, but my most played game in November was Animal Crossing. I'm sure November 5th had nothing to do with that. But yeah, like I'm playing Animal Crossing still. And, it's like 30 minutes to an hour, my sessions. And I really like fishing in that game. It's just nice and chill. It's like a nice, like you can throw on a podcast and just go fishing. So it's been a nice way for me to like wind down at the end of the day. I wish there was a way to like pass an ordinance that forces the Nook store to stay open later or something. That would be useful.
Can you not change the time on your Switch to like make it more convenient?
You can time travel, but I'm not a filthy cheater.
Wow.
Sorry, I won't do it. But yeah, sorry, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I've been building also. Oh yeah, my house. It got an A rating from the Happy Home Academy, finally. So I'm up from a B there. And then Isabel keeps telling me I have too many trees. And I'm like, but the economy's built around the trees. So I don't know what to do.
You're not interested in that iOS version, the fact that they made it like
No.
Yeah, me too. Like, even though they unlocked, it sounds like they unlocked everything. I don't think they have to microtransactions.
It's like they got rid of the time gate.
Yeah. It's like a one-time, like
$10.
You purchase it.
Yeah.
There's no interest in that. Like, because I'm like kind of on the fence, but I just don't really think about it too much. You're not that interested, huh?
I bounced off of it because of the time gate. So now that they removed it,
oh yeah.
That is interesting to me, but I prefer playing it on a console.
Yeah.
Like I still don't think I don't think it's that good of a game, like just in general. But I did bounce off of it mainly because of like the mobile transactional aspect of it. But yeah, like I don't know, man. Nintendo's kind of bad at making mobile games. Like it's like they know they want to introduce you to the IP. But they don't want you to fall in love with those games. Like Mario Kart Tour is a good example of that. Like on paper, I should love that game. But in practice, I'm like, you're making me swipe instead of giving me like the tactical controller feel. So I know that Animal Crossing isn't that hardcore or anything, but like I still like the feeling of fishing with a controller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, that's a game that on paper I should have played. And then yeah, like I still play Pokemon TCG Pocket, but I'm a casual. I'm not buying things for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are I think it's safe to say I've been playing F-099, Joe, and even the last day. I know, crazy.
Wow, jeez.
I love that game. By the way, it has an event. They announced another event. It's a repeat. So like we're now circling over the anniversary of this game. So they're just now like, hey, the winter event is back. It's called Frozen Tour. So you get ice covered tracks, and they introduced star rivals. So like kind of what they had during not the anniversary event, during the festival event in July, they brought that back for this Frozen World Tour. So that's going to be cool. So you'll have a Grand Prix that's like all Frozen tracks. So like if you like White Land or White Land 2, like there's a Frozen version of Mute City, there's a Frozen version of Silence and Big Blue and all those things. But yeah, my favorite game continues to be awesome. Updated to version 1.5.5 and nominated for several Shacknews Awards, which is a good transition to the next topic, Joe.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the Shacknews Awards and our game of the year.
Sweet.
So stay tuned. I'm going to do my intro that I always do for the Shacknews Awards videos. Welcome back to the Shacknews Awards podcast edition. This is the first time we've done this. So this is kind of fun. John and Joe, they're very busy people. They have other stuff to do during the day. So you guys aren't directly involved with like the deliberations for the Shacknews Awards or the voting for Game of the Year and stuff. So I figured, why not list off what the games of the year are, have you guys react, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the other Shacknews Awards, like Person of the Year, or maybe the Do It for Shacknews Award. And I'll list off the nominees, and you guys can guess who won or something. Sound like
Great.
a plan?
Oh yeah.
Should I start with indie games? we have two lists here. We have a list of 24 indie games, and we have a list of 24 games of the year.
Sure, let's do indie.
Okay.
I like it.
So should I just read the list and then you guys react, or do you guys want to stop me mid list? Like whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, give us the nominees and we'll go from there.
Okay, so these aren't nominees. This is like the list, right?
Oh, okay.
So it's the top 24 indie games of the year here at Shacknews. So I'm just gonna give you the number, the game. If you want to stop me, stop me. Number 24, Little Kitty, Big City.
Is that Nintendo Switch?
It is on Switch. I think it is.
I saw that. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well,
Little Kitty. I just want to make sure if it's on something else that we give it. It's.
let me ask you: is that tied to like? Does
it's
that
on Xbox?
It's not like an amazing game, or it is. It's an honor to be, even if you're number 24 or 25. It's still that's a good thing.
Yeah, man. Like it's.
Okay,
think how many games?
Because I don't know. Yeah.
I think how many games come out in a year now.
Yeah, no, top 25 that's a big deal. Okay, just want to see how it's being ranked here. Okay.
Basically, the idea behind this is that we've been doing top 10s for a long time, but there's so many games that come out that if we don't expand the list, a lot of games that I think deserve some love for doing something different this year just kind of go by the wayside.
Yeah, sure.
And especially with indie games here at Shacknews, like we want to show them love and we want people to know that they exist and stuff. So yeah, Little Kitty, Big City. It's on Xbox also, and I think it's on GeForce Now and Windows. So you can play it on Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, Xbox Cloud Gaming, GeForce Now, and Windows. And it's adorable. It's like a tiny open world kind of kitty game.
I think I've seen that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cute. And then number 23 is Felvedek, which is like a JRPG but set in like a fantasy world.
I don't
showed
know
up on a
I don't know this one.
This seems right up your alley, dude.
Felvedek with a F-E? F-E?
Felvidek. So yeah,
this looks so cool.
Joe, this is your vibe. Like when Sam brought it up during Shacknews Awards deliberations, and also for the first year ever, we did have the freelancers combine a ballot into one vote, and this did show up on the freelancer ballot as well, as did some other games that you've mentioned this year. Next up is Card NCL, EN. It's French as hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's another JRPG with roguelike mechanics. That's number 22. We had a 3-way tie for number 19. Kamikaze Last Planes, which it's a waifu visual novel shoot 'em up.
I'm looking at it now. I can't believe I haven't heard of the past 4 years. The Little Kitty I had heard of, but
and
these
that's
are deep
why
cuts.
we made this list, Joe. This list is about finding those like, what the hell? This game came out this year. But yeah, Kamikaze Last Planes. I can just tell you one person placed it very highly in their ballot, and that's why it's showing up here. I'll let people guess who that was. Fields of Mystria.
Sure. Yep.
And Luma Island, which I believe Sam had spoken about previously on the podcast.
I think so.
That was a 3-way tie for 19. So we have a tiebreaker, but they were all tied. So it was like, even the tiebreakers were tied. So I was like, okay, you're all 19. Number 18, Isles of Sea and Sky, the puzzle game that's kind of inspired by the adventures of Lolo.
Right.
Which Sam has kind of pounded his chest about the past few episodes he's been on here. Number 17, Slitterhead.
Slitterhead, I would not have called an indie game, but I guess that makes sense.
Is it not?
Well, Game Studio is definitely like a thing all their own, and this is like their first game ever.
And they published it too. Yeah, so Boca Game Studio, I don't think they're...
No, they're definitely independent. I just meant like, it doesn't hearing Slitterhead doesn't conjure to mind indie game, even though it is.
Got it. Well, I think the number 16 one will. Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore.
Nice. That's the one.
Yep. Number 15, we talked about this one. Thank Goodness You're Here.
Sure.
14, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
Right.
13, 1000X Resist.
Okay.
12, Tales of Kinzara Zao.
Interesting pick.
11, Penny's Big Breakaway.
That was this year?
Yeah, dude.
Sure was.
Yeah. People forgot. Everyone's like,
Was
oh my
that
god,
like-
Astro Bot, what an amazing platform. I'm like, hey, Penny's came out this year, guys. Just letting you know.
That's funny.
Uh,
Yeah.
Was that
And
like
it's like-
January
it's-
1st?
It was in January or February.
Yeah,
It's
February,
delightful,
yeah.
though. It is
It
like,
is.
the only negative I have is the camera. That's the only thing I'm like, but I understand
Yeah.
why they did it. I understand why they did it, why they had to do it, and the influences from like Mario 3D World and some of the Sonic games, but like the gameplay mechanics are awesome. I don't know, John, have you messed around with pennies at all?
Yeah, I have. It's really good. What makes it addictive, and I remember this. Yeah, I'm surprised it's still this year. But it was, you want the perfect chain. I want the perfect chain, right? I think that's part of it, right? It's that sub game. Like you can do the platforming, you can run the levels like a normal level, but then it's like, how do you get an unbroken chain from start to end where you're like flipping and swinging and everything, and you're just continuously moving.
Yep.
And I almost I don't think I did this, but I'm pretty certain you can do an unbroken chain from the start to the end.
Yes.
And it's like understanding the level design,
And
understanding
it's
all
like,
that.
it's
pretty
Tony
cool.
Hawk like in
It's
that
speed
sense.
running. It's Tony Hawk, and it's like such a hat tip to speed running, but like
Mhm.
you don't need to do that. It's like these Astro Bot levels. Just you mentioned Astro Bot, but even the holiday update that just came out a
Mhm.
few days ago or whenever, it's all about speed running, and I'm like, I think I'm smashing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I destroyed whoever's on the friends list, this and that. Then I see the world record, and it's like less than half the time. I'm like, how the heck, are you? I did it in a minute, 5, and then like the top record is like 1,000 people did it in 28 seconds. So I think that
can't-
kind of thing is really pretty cool.
I can't wait to see both these games at a Games Done Quick. Because you're gonna be able to break them, and there's always
fun.
glitches to that stuff. You remember how like Mario Odyssey had the jump rope challenge, and someone figured out how to break it. So it's like
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
999. Yeah.
I guess you eventually see like the exploit. I don't know if it's exploits or just
they're just glitches, like,
glitches, yeah.
and that's why that's a different category in speedrunning. It's like the glitch-free glitch runs, 100%, any percent. Like, there's a place for all of it. And Pennies, I think Pennies is going to be one of those games that's going to have a fan base in that scene for a while. So that was,
I think so. Like, is it getting do you feel like that? Like, I kind of forgot. Is it still on the radar for people? Look, I'm the guy who just said I didn't think Alarmo was selling, and you guys are saying it's selling out like crazy. So, like, Penny's Big Breakaway, is this like making an impact, or you hope that it makes an impact?
I don't know if it's making an impact with the broader industry and the games media or with players, but it made an impact at Shacknews. And to be fair, we're a pro Sonic outlet. We like Sonic. And these are the folks that made Sonic Mania, which is maybe the best 2D Sonic game you've seen in like a really long time.
In 20 years, I'd say, yeah.
So like this is their debut with like a new IP. And I think for what that was, I think it was a success. But like, it's not the number one, right? So it made it. So that's 24 through 11. And then this is where like most sites would start their list, top 10, right?
Yeah.
Number 10, Crow Country, which is a cool indie horror title with like,
PS1 Resident Evil-ish thing.
Yeah. We have a couple of those on this list. And then number 9, The Axis Unseen, which is a single dev made game by Nate Perkypile, who's a shacker. But he also used to work over there at Bethesda. So he worked on the Fallout games, Fallout 76, Fallout 4. He also worked on Skyrim. Some of your favorite environments in those games, Nate built.
He is personally responsible for a lot of the design of Diamond City and Fallout 4.
Yep. So anyone who's played those games, you have been immersed in Nate's art. And he did this by himself in Unreal Engine 5. It's a cool, like, open world survival horror game. He uses actual, like I shouldn't say actual, but like mythological or animals and monsters that you would see in different places. So like like Bigfoot or Yetis and stuff. It's cool, and the soundtrack's actually pretty outstanding. It's like a heavy metal first person survival horror game, right, DJ?
Yeah.
Is that the best? I think it's the best way to describe it. But yeah,
Which one?
Axis Unseen.
Yeah.
So that's number 9. Number 8, another horror game. Shacknews loves its horror. Mouthwashing, which that is a lot like Resident Evil.
Is it? I actually didn't know that. I didn't actually.
Maybe I'm mixing up the two. I thought mouthwashing was like that. Maybe this is just the weird one.
Mouthwashing, I thought, was more narrative based on the coverage.
This is first person. My bad. I confused Crow Country with it. But yeah, also horror. That was on a lot of people's ballots. It may not have placed like highly for people, but like it was consistently on ballots. I noticed.
Yes, I've seen quite a bit recently, and I would like to play this. And I heard that the jump scares are on the low end, not missing, but on the low end, which is kind of my criteria. I think I'm going to check this out.
Yeah. Number 7. I think this might be the only Souls-like on the list. Another Crab's Treasure, which is another one that came out earlier this year that people might have forgotten about, but it took over the world for a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, I think they had a break-in or something at their office earlier this year, and Joe Torado and some of the folks at SES Dev helped them out, brought over some dev kits and a webcam, a security cam for them and stuff. So
dang,
shout out to Joe and those folks. Number 6, I think one of the most unique games of the year, just period, the Plucky Squire, which is just very cool. Really interesting idea of like, an interactive story, that has these nods to different games like Punch Out and Zelda and stuff. It's cool.
I remember Ozzy saying, I think it was Ozzy saying like, everyone goes into this game like eyes aglow, like, wide-eyed child, like, look at this unbelievable presentation, and then he just didn't love playing it. Am I remembering him correctly?
I think it's just some elements are not as complex as others, so it's like, yeah, I don't know. I still think visually it kind of carries it. But you're probably right. Like maybe it lacks some of the gameplay that people look for. Number 5 is not just one game, it's 50. It's UFO 50.
Good pick.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Love that. Awesome. I want to spend more time with it.
Yeah, that's a game I'm going to be spending a lot of time with over break. That's also like the perfect Steam Deck game, and it should be on Switch. Number 4, Never Say Never. Beautiful game.
Sure.
It was nominated for Best Art Style at Shacknews this year. Number 3, Pacific Drive. I love this game. This game is ridiculous.
How scary are we talking?
I don't find it that scary. It's more just
I'm a wimp.
It's more
Pacific
like
Drive?
Yeah, it's more frantic.
It's pretty chill up until certain points, and then it gets unsettling and also intense.
Yeah, it's intense.
But it's never like in your face, like blah.
No. I never felt scared while playing it, but like it's funny. Like the gameplay mechanics are super detailed, and I love stuff like that. Like if you don't put your car in park and you get out of your car is gonna roll away, like stuff like that.
That's really cool. Yeah,
I love little details like that. And like if you get in your car and you don't turn on the radio, you're not gonna hear music, but you can turn on the radio and hear music. And then it's like the car. There's like, I don't want to spoil the story, but like the car itself is part of the story. It's really good. I love car games, right? Like I love racing games, but the idea of like almost the way I describe this to people, like my elevator pitch for this game is like it's Half-Life with a station wagon.
Oh, geez.
I don't know.
It's like an immersive station wagon, and you're like a makeshift mechanic because you have to be.
Yeah, with like Days Gone mechanics. Yeah, exactly. Like where you have to like fix your car, or you run out of gas. You have to siphon gas out of like broken down vehicles on the side of the road and stuff. Like I think they did what Days Gone tried to do better than Days Gone did. At least with that relationship between the character and the motorcycle in that game. So yeah, shout out to Pacific Drive. Absolutely love it. Ironwood Studios crushed it, and they already signed a deal. They're doing a TV show adaptation of it. So congratulations to all of them. And now, number 2.
Okay.
There's probably 2 games that you're thinking of right now.
I'm actually a blank slate. Okay.
Number 2 is Animal Well.
Fantastic
which
game.
is an excellent video game.
Sure.
And number one, by a mile, every ballot had this game on it. And I think it had like 7 out of 11 first place votes. Balatro.
I mean, yeah, of course.
Balatro is the indie game of the year.
Guys, here's a little Tinder for a podcast. I don't get it. It doesn't set me on fire.
You're gonna get Balatro?
I don't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Have you? What's your experience with Balatro right now? Like, how often have you played it?
I've played it maybe 90 minutes.
That's not enough.
And are you like chilling like on the couch, or are you intently concentrated? Like what? Because this is, for me, it's like kind of I think it's like a little bit of a chill game that then like gets you and grabs you like as you get further into the antes and the big blinds and all this stuff. And as you get further in, you're like, no, now I got to focus up. Strategies start to develop. I think like the point of 90 minutes might not be enough. It is because the Joker cards start to really have like, you start to get that strategy. So for me, it's like, what hands do you find yourself gravitating to a lot? At least this is my mid strategy. I'm sure there's like, obviously there's so many better strategies, but it's like getting the planet cards, right? Like really focusing on like 2 or 3 hands and just like brute forcing your way to the end. Like that's kind of the realm that I've been going at it. And once you get it, it feels good, you know?
I think it's the best gameplay loop of the year. It is a magically designed gameplay loop. Like you said, John, unlocking the planet cards and how that boosts your multiplier, the tarot cards and how that shifts what your deck is, right? Spectral cards, the Jokers, which are masterfully designed and interact with each other. Like there's something magical about winning Balatro. When you win it, it requires luck and skill. But there's something very Tetris-alike about this game, where Tetris is a simple game on the surface, but you can look up after playing it and you've been playing Tetris for 3 hours and you don't even realize it. That's Balatro. Balatro applying the roguelike mechanic to like a solitaire-like game, but with poker. It's just it's this perfect combo of things, Joe, that I think has scratched an itch for a certain type of gamer. And I do think I'm more impressed by it because it's like a single dev that did that.
Sure.
And as someone who made a math game built on multipliers this year, I have to look at it and just be like, that's inspiring.
Can I say, like, would you say that Animal Well, this is for everybody, but like, was Animal Well, isn't it like a little bit more fun though? Or is Balatro like, because Balatro is more like accomplishment based, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I finally did it. And then like the strategy that I imparted, like eventually it forces you to adapt because you want the higher scores and you realize that your strategy was good for 1 or 2 wins, but to get to like further wins, you really have to change. You have to understand spectral cards. You have to understand all that stuff. So it's more of a sense of accomplishment. Whereas Animal Well, yes, there's a sense of accomplishment, but there's more adventure, almost more fun. You know, stylistically, it's kind of different. What do you think?
I think one is more challenging than the other. And I'm not saying Animal Well isn't challenging. I'm just saying that I think Balatro and I think roguelikes in general, sometimes, you know, there's a run, like I've had runs, especially with the black deck where, you know, you have one more Joker slot, but one less hand size or something.
Yeah.
There's times where I don't even get past the first blind.
There's a lot of times, right?
You know what I mean?
But then there's like one time, there were 1 or 2 times, and maybe, Joe, if this happened to you yet, and I think it does require more than 90 minutes, but when you get the right Joker or 2, and for whatever reason, that multiple is like hitting, and it like syncs up to your play style, and then those numbers get nuts, and that's kind of like almost addictive. It is. I mean, that does tip into the gambling, almost like habituation that you get there.
It has that slot machine feel to it, right? And that think about how addictive, right? Think about how addictive a slot machine is. So I'm not saying like it's. I think they're very different games, and they appeal to very different people. I came from that, you know, the Windows 95 era, right, where we had Pre-Cell and Solitaire, right? So and obviously, like I just mentioned how Pocket Card Jockey showed up on my Nintendo list, right? Like I like card games that have unique gameplay mechanics. This is that. We've seen it, like, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they had a roguelike this year, right? And it had co-op. I think co-op roguelikes is like, that was like kind of a theme at the Game Awards even. We're getting an Elden Ring like that. So I think it's the combination of things, Joe, that I think has resonated with some people.
Yeah, no, and I'm not a hater. I'm good for Balatro.
Yeah.
I think I'm coming from like a why am I the odd man out here with this game? You know, that kind of thing. Because obviously
you're not, you know, because I counted these ballots, Joe.
Yeah.
For both awards. Some people left it off their list entirely.
Yeah.
So, which I think is insane.
If you have some familiarity with like roguelikes, I think it's a roguelike. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, you know, if I look at Dead Cells, which I played the hell out of, Binding of Isaac, like played the hell out of that. That Hades, like these are games that are like so compelling, so addictive. You're like, just one more spin. I want to make sure I get the thing.
And you just named a bunch of games that, and I'm gonna let you finish. But also, those games did not work on me really. I liked Hades. That's fine. Yeah.
Let me ask you, because those games work really well on me until I'm like, I literally can't play this game anymore because this is going to be bad. Like, this is a time sink, right? And it's fun. It's cool. It's great for a plane ride. It's good for whatever. But, you know, like you're watching the NBA game and like you got this on in the back.
It's
like
the perfect second screen game.
Great second screen game, but then like, is that why you think, Joe, like it doesn't grab you at first, or it grabs you and then you're like, I'm just not interested in doing this for too long compared to like an Animal Well?
I don't know how to tap into my lizard brain too well. I don't know what it maybe it takes like Final Fantasy at 80 hours. Like I got like a little drip just saying that out loud. Like, ooh, that's what I want, you know? Maybe I'm just a weird.
I think if you can just look at it from I just look at it from the game's design. I love how much detail there is. And there was this, I don't know, I follow Local Thunk on social media, the developer, and he was talking about how there was like a PR meeting with some marketing people, and the PR person's like, yeah, there's 120 Jokers, and originally Local Thunk was only planning for 90, and he didn't say anything. He just went back to work and made 30 more cards. There's something in this year and this era where so many games are failing with huge, like Concord, right? Where they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on games and they're falling flat on their face. To see this single dev make a game that has captured the hearts and minds of the entire industry in a lot of ways, I think that's what makes this industry great. And our own community has been there have been threads about Balatro on the chatty, I think every week this year. Someone is talking about something that happened to them in Balatro. And it's not the emergent gameplay moment that you're gonna clip and post to social, but it's something you talk to your friends about. You're like, or we've talked about on the podcast, like TJ, like, you have this perfect build until the last hand of the game, and then it's like score 300,000 in one hand or in one play or one, you know, it's there. Yeah.
There was a tweet I made about it because Local Thunk notoriously keeps themselves hidden from the public eye. Nobody knows what Local Thunk looks like.
He didn't take the stage at the Game Awards.
Yeah, to the point that like everybody thought he was the guy in the suit, but he said nope. But that's really funny.
Yeah.
But I made a post about it. It was like, I don't think Local Thunk is real. I think that Local Thunk is a embodiment of the feel that you get when you have a good 2-pair trousers run going in the game, followed by the bitterness that you feel when you see that the next boss blind is going to eliminate your most played hand.
Yeah, don't play 2-pair. Yeah, I love stuff like that, because I think there's a trolley aspect of the game that is similar to I keep coming back to Tetris. You know how like you'll build your Tetris run around, okay, I'm gonna get a line piece, it's gonna fall right here, right? And then you just never get the line piece.
Sure.
Yeah. Balatro does that to you, where it's like, here, Asif, here's Uranus. Keep buying Uranus, right? Because you're gonna buff your 2-pair hand, and then to TJ's point, the blind's like no 2 pairs. So you have this, you've built this whole deck up to this moment, and the game's like, nope. So it's like, there's an element of chance to it that makes the wins so much, just so very gratifying. I don't know, like when you win, Joe, it feels really, really good. That's all I can say.
I think it's a part of it is just the constant stream of unlocks that offer new opportunities, whether you win or lose. I think that one of the funnest parts of it is like, yes, there's a quality to it that's very, very much like Solitaire, Free Cell, Spider Solitaire, and that keeps me coming back for the base game. But then being awarded and being given new tools and new options to work with after just about every run is also pretty rad. And even when you get to a late game where like you're not getting unlocks every time, you're still being given like, okay, you beat it with this deck that you did. Now try to beat it on a higher difficulty stake that will give you more unlocks if you can do that. And I love that. It's constantly challenging me, and it's constantly putting a carrot in front of me to chase.
Yep. At some point, I'll fully unlock all the jokers and stuff, but like finding a new joker is cool. And I think the way that the jokers will inform your run, you know, if you get the one that's like torn up and it gives you 20, it gives you a 20 multiplier, but only if you play 3 or less cards. Like that's going to inform everything that you do from there on out. Because you're like, why would I get Uranus when I could buy Mercury? Because Mercury is going to buff the pair. You know, the way those systems interact, man, it's just magical. You don't always get games like this. Sometimes you get Pocket Card Jockey. You know what I mean? Like, and no shade to that game, but this game, it just really sticks out to me. So that was the indie list. Pretty good, right?
Pretty good.
Good list. Yeah, good winner.
I think I'm going to surprise you here with the Game of the Year list.
Okay.
This is the Game of the Year list. We compiled votes. So here are the top 24. We had a 3-way tie at I'm going to list 3 22s. So it's basically the spots for 22, 23, and 24 are all tied.
Okay.
So number 22, the first number 22, Arzette the Jewel of Faramore. The next number 22, Another Crab's Treasure. The next number 22, Animal Well.
Wow.
Yep. Animal Well did not show up on many Game of the Year ballots, but when it did, it was high. So yeah, people who liked it did place it rather highly, but not everyone voted for it.
Yeah, wow.
One person voted very highly for Kamikaze Lost Plains, and it is number 21.
Hold on, with that game, are you baiting us into guessing who the champion is?
No, I'm just slightly throwing shade at the person who did that, because I'm like, really? We're really going to say that Animal Well's worse than this game? But here we are. Look, sometimes democracy gets you a very boring president. Sometimes it gets you the end of democracy. I'm not saying Kamikaze Lost Plains is the end of democracy. Number 20, Tales of Kinzara Zhao. Number 19, Black Myth Wukong.
Okay.
Wow, that is very high.
That's high. No, I don't have a dog in the fight, but that is high compared to the greater landscape. Yeah.
19 is high. Interesting.
19 is high for look, I played that. I wanted to like it. Just because it was
John,
boring. Come on.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Yeah.
The way
it has nothing to do with any of that.
No. Just boring. Some behind the scenes about how the votes work. We give a bonus to your first place vote here at Shacknews. We think your first place vote should get an extra boost because that's the whole point of it. You care a lot about this one. Someone placed Black Myth Wukong very highly on their ballot, and that's why.
I mean, they're not wrong. It scratches an itch. Like Rez was one of my favorite game of all time. You know, like it scratched an itch at the time. So
hell yeah,
I get that.
Number 18. This is what a diverse list. Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It didn't make my ballot, but
did you play it?
No, but I played Dragon Quest III and I watched the gameplay and I talked to the people who reviewed it and stuff. And I know Dragon Quest III, Joe. It's great.
As in, I'm not saying you should have put it on your ballot. I'm saying you didn't put it on your ballot, but you also didn't play it, which is
I did not.
Which
But I have
sounds
played.
fair.
I played through Dragon Quest 3. I just there are so many great RPGs that came out this year that I think it's unfair to try to compare them to Dragon Quest 3. Like these games wouldn't exist without Dragon Quest 3, but like it's HD 2D remake. It is beautiful. It was well executed. But yeah, it's number 18.
Sure.
Number 17, and I want to explain this because we have a cutoff date in December for our awards. So if you release after that cutoff, you are eligible for the next year. That's this game. The Finals was number 17.
Nice.
The Finals, man, oh man, that's a very stylish game.
Mm-hmm. Destructible environments. Sam Chandler absolutely loves that game.
Very stylish, yeah.
Number 16. I can't wait to hear your reaction to these next two. Number 16, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
That's awesome. Yes, nice.
Hey, what does that mean?
Down with the establishment. To hell with that game.
That'll teach you to give me too many mini games.
But
wait, are we being sarcastic? Okay,
no,
Joe
that's
hates the game.
I love the Stones to put that outside of the top 10. Well done.
But wait, there's more.
Okay.
Number 15. Mario and Luigi Brothership
is better than Rebirth. Yeah, I believe it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is. According to Shacknews, and I think Joe. Number 14.
Yeah, sure.
Number 14. Helldivers 2.
Okay.
Interesting.
If they didn't completely fumble the whole PS Online requirement and piss off like 60 different nations, maybe it would have placed higher for me personally, because I do like the gameplay, but I don't like how they treated their community.
That's fair.
13, Pacific Drive.
I gotta get it.
I'm gonna play that over break. Yeah,
definitely check it out, John. I think you're gonna dig it. Cool. It's just unique. Like we've been in this industry so long, John. Like just seeing something that's different is cool.
It is cool. Yeah.
And it's a small studio that like hit a home run. I'm really, really happy for them. Number 12, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Wow.
Well, you were big on that, right? Like you would vouch, right? Or no? What?
Joe does not like it.
I thought you
was down.
Started liking it, and then you got down on it the more you played, or were you never up on it?
I thought the seam started to show towards the end, and I didn't love it when I wrapped it up.
The thing that didn't really land with me with that game were the boss battles. They just were not fun. I love the traversal. I like what they did with the map design and being able to like take screenshots and like the way that it kind of solves some of the pain points I have with Metroidvanias. But yeah, and it also has great accessibility features. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I want them to, that studio got disbanded, but they're working on a Rayman, and I hope they crush it with their next game.
Oh man, Rayman is the best.
Mm-hmm. Like, please hit a home run with Rayman. We need it. Number 11, just barely missing the top 10 here. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2.
Unbelievable. Didn't make top 10 to me. Unbelievable.
Greg, you'll see why here. But it was like, I'm talking like 1 point, Greg. If one person put it at number 10, it probably would have been in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So it comes down to the personal taste of everyone who voted, which is the whole point of this. It's a collective list. Number 10, Tekken 8. New challenger.
Yay.
That feels right.
Yeah. Tekken 8 got a 10 out of 10 at Shacknews. It's the best fighting game of the year, in my opinion. And if you listen to the Shacknews Award for best fighting game, you'll find out what we think of that. Number 9, Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Nice.
Number 8, Unicorn Overlord.
All right.
Yep.
I've played it, but I love that coming in significantly ahead of Rebirth.
Yeah.
Take that.
Honestly, it's great. Polished as all hell. Number 7, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Wow. Sorry. Whoa. That is very high. That is very high. I mean, look, I played maybe a few hours, and it's not long enough, I guess. I'm giving it. I'm having an open mind. That's really high.
It's not for me. It wasn't for me. That game.
It's like I don't want to be the guy where it's like this is kind of boring. I was telling Joe this earlier. I'm like, it just feels like not that they threw it together, but it's like let's let's get an Indiana Jones game together. Let's go, guys. Let's just build a game. I know it's not that simple. It's very naive, etc. But it just felt like very linear. It feels so far very linear. I think the voice acting carries a ton, and I think that happens a lot with video games. Like, that like the audiovisual, the performances, things like that. It carries a lot, and maybe it should carry that much. But like from a gameplay perspective, so far I'm like not there yet.
I preferred like if I had to pick a game, I would play Pacific Drive over Indiana Jones right now. But
I mean, Animal Well grabbed me well before Indiana Jones so far, so it's very interesting. Not.
But I have found that like it's hit or miss with people. Like some people are really, 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 really digging Indiana Jones, and other people aren't.
Right?
Yeah. It reviewed highly, and
I gotta give it a go. I like literally. I'm speaking uninformed after 3 hours. So I have to give it a proper go. But
TJ,
I'm looking forward to it.
I said this in a previous episode that you weren't here for, but like I really feel this way about this game. I think it should have been a third-person game. Running away from a boulder is way more fun when you can see the boulder.
Keep using that as examples. Is there another example in the game other than the opening tutorial?
The other example is that you're Indiana Jones, Greg, and like I think that the stealth mechanic probably would have resonated more with me in third person. That's just me. I don't know if it's like because there's Dishonored and Dishonored 2, which have done stealth in first person, so it's not impossible to do it well. I guess I had a different expectation for what I was going to get than what we got. But like I said, clearly it resonated with some people on our staff. It's number 7.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's why I'm looking forward to playing it some more. Like it is a good game. Just 7 is pretty high. So
it is.
But
if
I had to pick a reason why that game resonated with me so very much, it's because it's maybe the best arcane style game that doesn't have the arcane name on it. Like arcane, it plays like I know it's Machine Games on it, and you can feel the Machine Games throughout it, but like it also feels very, very, very much like Dishonored or Prey without like special powers.
Dishonored. Yeah, it's like that is. I think that's why I guess I was expecting something more innovative, and Dishonored, that series was like really good, right? I mean, I think that's aging pretty well. Yeah,
I think
Prey too.
Prey resonated with me more, TJ, because the weapons in that game and the things you could do are so wacky. Whereas this was like, okay, yeah, Indiana Jones, it's like he's going to use whatever he can find. Like that's going to be his weapon for this scene.
My answer to that is level up the skill books that affect the whip.
Yeah. The whip is.
Oh, is that what is? That's a pro tip because I have a bunch of skill books and okay.
I agree that the whip is cool.
Nice.
I just want Doom. Can we just get Doom to the Dark Ages, please? Anyway, number 6, STALKER2, Heart of Chernobyl, Stalker 2. Sorry, I had to spell. Have you seen how to spell this game?
Is
I
that
wouldn't
good?
have known what you were talking about otherwise.
It sticks out, John. It sticks out this year. It really does. I think it's a unique game, and also just the act of them developing this game in a war-torn Ukraine and actually having to delay the game because members of the development team went to fight in a war.
That's insane. Yeah, wow.
I would say it's also maybe one of the best Unreal Engine 5 games out there. It's stunning at times, and like there's like I think Bill posted it on Cortex. There's like he showed the water. You should see the water in this game, John. It's outstanding.
Oh yeah, really.
It tells an interesting story. It's more of an environmental storytelling. It's definitely not a game for everyone, though. But yeah, it placed very highly for certain people on staff, and that affected where it placed in the vote.
It got snubbed at the other Game Awards completely. I don't think it got nominated for anything.
I don't know if it was even eligible based on when they released it, but because like I think their ballots go out in November for that stuff. So when was the release date for this, TJ? Do you remember?
That was
end of November, I thought.
November 20th.
Yeah.
So I don't know Jeff's cutoff, but maybe that had something to do with it. Number 5, Dragon's Dogma 2.
I'm getting really worried, Asif, because you haven't named a game yet. That seems like it's going to be way too high. I'm scared.
Yeah, I think you might hate these next 4, or at least the way that they go. I think we're about to piss some people off right now.
Okay.
Should I go? You guys want to hear what number 4 is?
Yes.
I'm about to piss off some people.
I want to hear it.
Number 4, Astro Bot.
Okay, that's fine. That one's okay.
Really?
I mean, that
It's
one's
top
okay.
5.
Just
Top 5.
yeah, just because like Astro Bot is really good. It's really solid, very very good. But you know, after you're done with it, that's a good 2 weeks, or that's a good week, I'll say, and then you move on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Balatro will stick with us when you announce it as number 1. I'm going to assume, but no, I'm kidding. I have no idea.
To number 3 before
right.
everyone gives me flowers for putting Astro Bot at 4. Number 3, the only Nintendo game to make the top 10.
Okay.
The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Okay.
Who was in your who helped you raise that up to 3? Because I remember. Yeah. Who helped you?
Try,
Nice.
Conde, Blink. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I made a pretty impassioned case both in my review of the game where I gave it a 10, and
Sure.
Also just throughout the deliberations where I reminded people that this is the first time you can play as Zelda in a Zelda game. And that, this is the first woman game director in the history of the Zelda franchise. Those are 2 very important things that I think a lot of people ignored this year. We didn't at Shacknews. So
that's true. That's it. Zelda didn't make it. What did they get nominated for the Game Awards?
2
Family
game and action adventure, and they didn't win
but not
either.
Game of the Year, huh? Wow.
They also, not even on the Game of the Year list, which included Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and not Nintendo
and
got
the
blanked.
DLC. Yeah,
Nintendo got blanked. John,
I don't want to
blanked
say
at the Game
that
Awards.
the check was missing. no,
Doug
I'm
Bowser
just kidding.
was sitting front row. He didn't get to go on stage once. No Nate from Nintendo, nothing.
No,
Nintendo
I'm sure there's no
Nintendo
shadiness.
losing the family category, that's wild.
Yeah.
They never lose that. But Astro Bot was a unique game that came out this year and everyone loved it, and it obviously invented 3D platforming.
It was a game that came out this year. I don't know if it was unique. I don't know why you use that. But
I'm sorry.
Are you being
I
sarcastic?
roll my eyes at PlayStation fans. I'm like, please, Pennies came out this year. Like, there's other platformers out there, folks.
I just want to use the adjective
Just
unique.
one
Astro Bot was
person.
solid.
One person on staff, for the love of God, one person on staff who gives Astro Bot Game of the Year, just beat my fucking Mario Maker levels. Beat all of them. And then tell me what you know about platformers.
If you gave me checkpoints
Just beat
like
them.
in Astro Bot, I
Beat
would.
briefcase level 8, Greg, before you talk.
Give me checkpoints.
Beat it. What?
Give me checkpoints. Astro Bot gave you checkpoints, right?
Oh, really?
Asif, you are stingy with the checkpoints.
Yeah, get good.
Give me some
Get
checkpoints.
good.
Get good.
Get
There we
good.
go. And there it is.
Astro Bot gives me a checkpoint every 5
There it
minutes.
is.
It's like, yeah, I bet. And you want a fucking cookie when you beat a level? Like, come on.
Oh, well, they give you like cookies.
Oh,
That's
wow,
the
there's a
little
jetpack.
robots that you
There's
get.
a jetpack. There's a freaking jetpack in Sunshine for
So-
GameCube.
We just revealed Greg's number 1. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we're not. We did not.
All right.
So number 2.
Top 2.
All right, hang on. Hold on before you say it. So far, I'm not mad.
Okay.
No, me neither. This is
But again, the 2 games that have not been mentioned, if they are number 2 and number 1, I'll lose my mind. So
it is kind of. I don't want to be that guy, but let's see how it goes. The discrepancy between Animal Well at 19 and what's in 2 and 1 is going to be how the heck. All right, go ahead.
Number 2.
Yeah.
From Studio Zero.
Wow.
Metaphor. Refantasio.
okay. Wait, I'm still not mad. That
Joe,
feels
why
right.
would you be upset? Yeah, because you were going to say like if it's the 2 games. So there's
I
one
forgot
game.
about Metaphor. There's a game
Metaphor.
conspicuously missing.
Wow. Yeah, this is where we talk about what was missing after
Yeah, sure.
the inevitable number 1.
Game
which,
of the year
course,
here at Shacknews. Number 1. Receiving the most first place votes on our ballots.
Yeah.
And both the indie game category and the Game of the Year category. It's Balatro.
Yeah, wow. Well done.
Balatro is our Game of the year. So you're not mad? You're not
I'm
mad?
not mad at all. No.
What's missing?
No, I love
What's
it. It's a solo dev. It's a creative, innovative game. It is addictive. It looks gorgeous for what it is. Like, it's clever with the artwork and the jokers and everything. You can't be mad at that.
And like,
Not mad.
Not mad. Shacknews is the little guy in the industry still. We are we are very similar.
If there was ever a Shacknews Game of the Year specifically, if there was a consummate like Balatro. Why am I calling it back? I should have called it yesterday, right? Like we know what's happening. Not because Shacknews is anything but predictable, but Balatro is like, of course it should be. It should get the kudos.
So what's missing, Joe?
I know that despite what you might have felt, Asif, as in like you're not a dictator here, I thought you were going to say Shadow of the Erd Tree.
That's missing. Yeah.
No, that's not even eligible. Fuck out of here.
And Veilguard. Did I miss it? Did you say Veilguard?
No, I didn't.
Hell yeah. So if anything, I'm like, look.
TJ literally fell asleep during a boss battle.
Exactly. But you have a bunch of people. But you have a bunch of people contributing to this. So who knows? I'm glad
you brought that up, though, because this is why we do the other Shacknews Awards. Because this is our favorite games. These are the best games, according to our staff, of the year. Right? Veilguard is not. It didn't even land on several people's lists. I think it was low. It wasn't. Not a single person picked it for their game of the year. And there were people who picked Balatro for game of the year. There were people who picked Metaphor for game of the year. I don't think anyone picked Zelda for game of the year. It was just placed highly. Yeah. In a lot of lists.
Okay, can I ask you about another one that's missing? But
sure.
one that I'm, I guess, upset about? I don't know. Upset's the wrong word. No Infinite Wealth.
It got votes. It did. It got votes.
This is the classic. I'm with Joe now. I'm with Joe on this one because Joe used to say this for a while, and I think it's a little too. And it's not a Shacknews reflection; it's a reflection of just American games media potentially. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know. We gave
the game a 10. We gave the game a 10.
You give the game a 10, and how the heck is it not in the top 25? Yeah. Were all those 10s then? That's what I'm saying. It gets forgotten.
No, I think it's two things, John. One, it came out early. It came out early in the year, and I think that there's always a calendar bias to these lists. The more recent releases move up, but also you can only vote for 10 games at Shacknews, so people had to leave things off of their list.
This is the 11th man. This is the 11th man. Then this should be. That should be an award.
I can tell you, like even like our freelancers, there weren't. It didn't place highly on their list. Like. If it was on ballots, it was at like the 10 spot, maybe the 5 spot in ballots. And a lot like when you put Kamikaze Last Planes at like your number 3 vote, you're going to push a game like that off of the list.
All right. Who was it?
I'm not going to say. These are anonymous ballots, but I'm just going to say when you put Kamikaze Last Planes at like fucking 3, you're going to knock some games off the list, John. And it's not
going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
What can I do? Sometimes Ohio legalizes weed, and sometimes we vote for Trump. I'm going to
say, look, you wanted a little bit of,
no, for sure,
repartee, and I'm going to say, Joe, I think you're Kiryu over here. I think I'm Kasuga. I think we got to beat some asses here. What the hell happened here?
I agree.
Don't forget the new one coming out in February.
No, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. We won't. We cover these games intensely, man. We have for years. It's just like it's. I can tell you that there were some
omissions. What are some of the bigger omissions? Because I do think Infinite Wealth, like the Yakuza series, I think generally what I was, hinting at is like there's a familiarity there. It's a little bit, and I don't mean it like because it's Japanese centric, but I mean it's a little bit foreign compared to other, games. Like that's the whole point, right? That's the whole, it feels like that's part of the point. It's misfit. Right, and it is a misfit game, I think, and that's the interesting part.
I think the glaring omission, honestly, is Bubbletron.
Yeah, what's the big ones?
Like, how did Bubbletron not get on either of these lists? Like, what are we even doing?
Did you vote for it, Asif?
No, it wasn't allowed to be voted for. But I'm just saying, like, it's the first thing when you go to the video game release date calendar on Shacknews. It's the first entry. Like, we were the first game to be released this year. We got no love from anything. Yeah, and it's free to play. No gotcha mechanics. Anyway, so I think that's the biggest snub at the Game Awards.
What are some of the other?
Yeah, what's the second biggest snub?
I'm going through the release date list. Just based on like the hubbub about it, Joe. I think something like 1000X Resist probably could have made this list. I'm sure it would make other lists.
It had It's time in the spotlight on your other list, though.
I would say Persona 3 Reload is missing.
Yeah.
That's a game that I think could have shown up on this list.
Okay, here's something before you go on.
Mhm.
Unicorn Overlord versus Infinite Wealth is surprising. Not to go back to the Infinite Wealth thing, but as in like that's also an early year.
There
But
were
that's
a couple
surprising.
of early year
I'm
things.
surprised.
What was the one that was the December from 23? What was
The
that?
Finals.
the final.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I mean, you have
That's Sam.
champions.
That was
This
Sam.
is the thing. That's Sam. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You have champions who are just like, hey, this game has to do it. If I have a vote, I think Infinite Wealth is on the top 25 because I'll be a champion for that one. So I get that.
Is it number one for you?
For me, for the year,
Yeah.
it's the one I like the most in a way. So I'd have to think about it. It's probably number one. Like,
So
it's also
that's
been
why,
kind of a lame year, frankly. I mean,
I don't know.
but it's above. It's even above Balatro. For me, again.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I can tell you that like the person who gave it a 10 didn't even put it at number one. I don't, or maybe they did. But like that was a freelancer who reviewed it. So the freelancer vote was combined into one vote for the game of the year.
Sure.
So it's like that the combined list for the freelancers didn't place it that high, and then our combined list didn't place it that high.
I think it's interesting. Like, I think I'd love to see if that series ever does get its kudos. I'm curious.
It should.
And then it probably should. And then the Shacknews yet do. We're not going to go over other awards, I'm assuming, but
We can.
Are there?
Yeah,
well, I'm just curious. Like, do Fortnite, Roblox, do like any of these things yet have any fart in the general direction? Because I'm not saying that it necessarily should, but there's a lot of stuff that's happening there.
So
how does Shacknews look at that kind of thing?
So-
or DLC, like to Joe's point.
Okay, I'm going to bring up three things here because you brought up what you're talking about, John. Is ongoing games. We do not consider ongoing games for the Game of the Year list. You have to release your game this year. So we give an award for it. Here's the nominees, and I'll let you guys guess who won.
Okay.
Fortnite, The Long Dark, Splatoon 3, The Finals, F-099, and DayZ.
And these are games as service. Is that I'm sorry, is that the
ongoing game? Ongoing game.
The way we define games.
The way we define ongoing game, John, is it's a game that's already released but is still receiving active support from the developers.
Would you so Shadow of the Erd Tree doesn't make it on that necessarily because you're thinking that's encapsulated. Although there is another one coming out, but that's fine.
That's a different game entirely, though. The next Elden Ring is a different game, and I'll get to that. What we classify Shadow of the Erd Tree as is an expansion. So it was nominated in the best expansion category. This is an ongoing game. So Fortnite did get nominated. It might not.
My hunch is Long Dark must have gotten that.
What do you think, Joe? Sorry.
If it's based on the same folks voting for Game of the Year as the same pool of people, I would say like that's just not going to be the Fortnite crowd for one. Long Dark because there's at least
F-Zero.
3 people.
It's F-Zero, guys. Come on.
Yeah,
all right.
I was like,
what are we even talking about? What are we even talking about here? I've made a pretty impassioned case to the staff about F-099 in every single category it was nominated in. All
right, hang on. Before you go further, how does voting work? Because I thought it was going to be everybody submits their case, and then it's like a math calculation.
We vote live in the video. So we do video deliberations, and we vote at the end of them live. Everyone makes a case for the nominees if they feel strongly, and then we vote.
See, that's critical because now, with that knowledge, I would have said that F-Zero.
I made an impassioned case for F-099.
Sure.
And just look at how much, 8 material updates in a year, and it's a live service game from Nintendo, and it's online, and it's good. Come on. Now, I want to give Fortnite their flowers. What they did this year with Lego Fortnite, with the remix,
it's kind of crazy. But that was December. That just must have either missed the cut, it made the cut.
It made the cut. It's just that, to Joe's point, we are not really a huge Fortnite website. We're not.
That's different. Yeah.
We cover the game. But if you're asking me my favorite game from Epic, it's Gears 3. I haven't had a game I love from them as much as Gears 3. And if they want to give me a freaking cover mechanic mode, I'll play Fortnite. But no, I'm good.
Right.
But
I'm not advocating
it's
for Fortnite.
It's undeniable. But yeah, like we're also not like a Roblox site, right? Like I get
that. I'm just wondering, like,
that's okay.
Yeah.
If you guys don't play the stuff, it's different. It's just different, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I thought Long Dark. I thought like F-Zero. That was my number 2. That makes sense.
Sorry, TJ, you were going to say something?
Oh, on the matter of the infinite wealth, like I think that I think one of the things about the Yakuza series is that yes, it has a huge built-in fan base. But I think there's also a split between whether you like Yakuza as a turn-based game or whether you like Yakuza as an action game.
Like a brawler, yeah.
I am not crazy about Like a Dragon or Infinite Wealth because I played Yakuza as an action game and I'm just not really into that style for that particular franchise. Whereas like Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii looks completely my jam because I like running around with Goro and I like doing mean things to people as Goro.
Yeah, that actually, you kind of nailed it for me too. Like I like silly beat 'em up Yakuza, but then I also like the shareholder meeting mode and what was that? Was that like a dragon? Yeah. That's like one of my favorite things they've ever done.
Yeah.
And I also think what they did with the Animal Crossing this time I thought was really great. Like, there's always elements of their games where I'm like, God, that's awesome. But yeah, I don't know.
That's fair enough.
You know?
Yeah, and I think I would say like my bringing up Infinite Wealth isn't like a how dare you. I just find it's more just like, wow, that actually missed the cut. It's surprising.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, I'm not surprised. This is the thing. I'm not surprised that it gets no kudos from anybody. But I thought that like Shacknews giving it a 10, that's awesome. And I thought Shacknews, if there's a site that highlights a game like that, just because it's like almost deservedly so, right? It would be Shacknews.
I will say that it factored into another category. I'll mention that here in a second. And you know what? Fuck it. I'll mention it right now. The best publisher. Here are the nominees.
Oh, funny.
Nintendo, Capcom, Sega Atlas, Square Enix, and PlayStack, and Bandai Namco. Who do you think won?
Sega must have won.
Sega had an amazing year.
There's no...
Sega wins best publisher at Shacknews. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Infinite Wealth was definitely part of why. So
like Metaphor, like, yeah, it was...
Sonic. Like, we got Sonic Cross Shadow, and it's like, great. Like, they crushed it. Unicorn Overlord. They crushed it here.
Yeah, I was just at the Game Awards, like, we were just, like, remarking, Sega has been crushing it.
They're on fire. And now they're bringing us, like, Virtua Fighter and, like, all...
Right.
They're flexing, man. Like, they killed it this year.
That's cool.
They got their flowers in the best publisher category because of Infinite Wealth was part of that.
Yeah.
They released 2 games this year that got 10s from Shacknews. Like, amazing year for Sega. So, like, that's why we do these awards, is that not every game's going to get their flowers on the list. Not every game's going to get their flowers in their corresponding categories even. But what we don't do is call a game made in 2022 a game made in 2024. And we gave Elden Ring Game of the Year in 2022. It was categorically the best game. So what we do here, we have the best expansion category. Here are the nominees for best expansion. Splatoon 3 Side Order, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Destiny 2 The Final Shape, DayZ Frostline, Factorio Space Age, and Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. So what do you think won that?
I mean, it
has to be Elden Ring, right?
Yeah. Shadow of the Erdtree crushed it there. So yeah, that's where it got its flowers.
Yeah.
And that's a stacked category, man. The Final Shape was really good. Frostline was excellent. Factorio Space Age similarly adds like a lot of content to the game. And
Diablo
for people
4, that kind of fixed, as I understand it, it kind of fixed the game for a lot of people.
Yes, especially the end game. Yeah, so like all those are great. Splatoon 3 Side Order is like an interesting take on what the future of that franchise could be, because it's like a roguelike, you know? But yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree is by definition at Shacknews, that's an expansion. We will never give an expansion game of the year.
That's fair.
Yeah,
but it
that's
definitely
not
deserves
controversial. That's okay.
it definitely deserves its flowers though. And then to your point about DLC, we have changed it from, because before we used to conflate DLC and expansion, we split them off into two things now. So we have a best add-on and a best expansion.
Let's do the best add-on.
Yeah, so here are the nominees for the best add-on. Vampire Survivors Operation Guns. Dave the Diver Godzilla Pack, which isn't actually you can't even get anymore.
Oh wow.
Are you serious? That was a timed exclusive?
Yeah.
Wow.
Balatro's Friends of Jimbo update, which added card packs from The Witcher and stuff.
Ooh.
River City Girls 2, the Double Dragon DLC was quite cool. TMNT Shredder's Revenge got the Radical Reptiles. And last but not least, you guys might remember me ranting about this. We got Ace League set to Teleview tracks at F-Zero 99. Like, what?
Who could forget? Yeah.
What?
Well, that's cool. That is cool. That should win just for the innovation.
And it did, motherfuckers.
It's not even innovative, but it's just an embracing of history, kind of, right?
It's so fucking cool. And I'm telling you, John, Mute City 4, I played.
It's cool. Really?
I was 12. I was 12, right, when I even read about Satellaview in a magazine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this sounds so cool. I'll never be able to play it. And then I finally get to play it. Mute City 4 is one of my favorite tracks in any racing game. It's if I was a kid, Briefcase Level 1 with all the coins, that's I made that because it's as a kid, that's the level I dreamed of, is just coins everywhere.
Yeah.
Mute City 4 is that, but applied to F-Zero. It's boost everywhere. It's just boost. Boost pads everywhere. And it's wonderful. And then they actually made a Sand Ocean level that I don't hate. It's great. Look, I think I'm on the record on several podcasts that if an F-Zero ever came out, that I would do my best to give it all the flowers that I could, because these are rare moments where a franchise like that gets a chance to shine. So F-Zero won the best add-on. Let's see what else. Let's do the For Shacknews Award. This is a stacked category every year, because we think being nominated in this category is almost as important as winning it. So here are the nominees. The Zelda Orchestra. If you remember, they performed earlier this year in front of an empty room because there was a bomb threat at Nintendo Live in Japan.
Oh, sure.
I think persevering through that and actually just... have you watched that thing? It's an outstanding 30 minutes of music. Xur from Destiny 2. Xur finally stopped moving around. He's just always at the same place now. So we had to pivot our coverage of Xur away from Where Does Xur At, where we play DMX music, to now Xur Gonna Give It To You, where we still play DMX music. But shout out to Xur. Xur's had a hell of a run, man. So is Destiny 2.
He's tired. He's tired.
Maximilian Dude. He gave us this amazing interview about the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite project he was working on. They actually, I think they just announced the ship date for it. But he's very very gracious with his time with us at Summer Game Fest, and I think it's one of our best performing interviews of the year.
Nice.
It went especially viral on Facebook. The next nominee is Brandon Cole. He passed away this year. He was an accessibility advocate, specifically for visually impaired gamers. We salute Brandon and condolences to his family. Number 5, Steve Tominski of the Steve Tendo Show. He hit 500 episodes in the year. So that's just a huge achievement. 500 episodes of the Steve Tendo Show. Another nominee, Nate Perkypile, who shipped the Axis Unseen this year, member of our community for a long time, and we will always cheer on any game devs who are part of our community. Another nominee, we have 12 nominees here, Joe.
Yeah.
GSC Game World, the developers of Stalker 2. Like I said,
say the least.
Yeah, having to develop that. Yep, John had to drop. He's got family stuff. But being able to develop that game while your country is being assaulted by Russia and members of your development team are actually fighting to defend your country, what they did this year is nothing short of a miracle. Or the last 3 years, honestly. I think it was exactly 1,000 years to the day that the war began in Ukraine that they released their game. Next nominee was JSR and Peanut Butter the Dog. I think we talked about this on the podcast, Joe, but during summer games done quick. There was a Ken Griffey Jr. live stream where a dog hit a walk-off home run for the win. It's probably one of the most adorable, heartwarming moments of the entire year of gaming.
That's great.
Next up, Harada and Murray from Bandai Namco. Shipping Tekken 8 in the condition they did is worthy of a nomination, but also they were very gracious with their time. TJ got to speak with them at EVO. Actually I think you were hanging out with them during the Tekken finals, TJ.
Yeah.
So they've been amazing. Getting to talk with them, having interviews with them, and them like actually telling us straight up that they appreciate how we cover fighting games. That's all. It's something we care a lot about at Shacknews, and I think a lot of publishers and developers are starting to notice the care and attention we give to our cover space.
Sure, that's awesome.
Next nominees would be the EA Sports College Football 25 devs. They did it for Shacknews. This will surprise no one. We nominated Kendrick Lamar, Joe.
Okay, that adds up.
Because he specifically for uniting the gangs of Los Angeles at the Pop-Out concert, but also he's spreading a message of peace in Los Angeles, in the inner cities.
You love that.
So we think that specifically is why he's here. And then the cherry on top is that he's just burying Drake. And then last but not least, sorry, my throat is tickling me.
Yeah. We can wrap up.
Jonathan Rush, Fallout 76 dev, literally walks up to TJ at QuakeCon and says, "Hey, we should talk." He literally did it for Shacknews at QuakeCon.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who do you think won, Joe?
Kendrick?
No.
GSC?
No.
Well, I don't know.
Steve Tendo.
Steve Tendo, that's true. Yeah. He's in the family.
500 episodes.
500 is insane.
That's a lot of doing it for Shacknews, man.
How frequently is the show?
He's three days a week, but sometimes he doesn't do them all 3 days. But yeah, 3 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think it's usually around 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern start time. He's fostered his own community. There's people who show up for Steve's show specifically. And yeah, it's a Nintendo themed show. Steve is a Nintendo fanatic.
For sure. Congrats to Steve.
So yeah, best developer. I want to mention that before we go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Team Asobi, Way Forward. These are the nominees. Studio Zero, GSC Game World, Night Dive Studios, and Local Thunk. Who do you think won, Joe?
I think Local Thunk won.
Nope. GSC Game World. Yep.
Wow.
GSC won. But if you want to know where Local Thunk got some more flowers, I can let you know. Person of the Year, Sven Vinky from Larian, Donkey and Leah from Big Mode.
Yep.
Abu Bakr Salim from Tales of Kansara Zhao, Local Thunk from Balatro, Eric Concerned Ape Barone, and last but not least, the Stardew Valley dev, and also was it Haunted Chocolatier is his next game?
Yeah.
And then last but not least, the game director of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Tomami Sano. Local Thunk won our Person of the Year, Joe.
Person of the Year, wow, that's prestigious.
Yeah. But when you think about this year, he's like the constant. But I think all those people deserve their flowers. So being nominated for a Shacknews Award is a very prestigious thing, obviously. I don't know. Is there anything else? Are you curious about any other winners?
Well, I just saw that the Hall of Fame post just went up on the website. So that's cool.
Yeah. I recommend checking that out. We inducted our second video game character. So our first, I believe in our inaugural year, we inducted Bo Jackson into the Shacknews Hall of Fame from Tecmo Bowl. And this year we are inducting Tony Hawk from the first Tony Hawk Pro Skater game.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're a little silly here at Shacknews at times.
No, it's all fun though. It's good.
And then best platformer. I think is probably worth mentioning. All these games are great. Penny's Big Breakaway, Pepper Grinder, Astro Bot, Sonic, Cross Shadows Generations, Neva, and Animal Well. And Astro Bot won that category.
Yeah, okay.
Biggest surprise, here are the nominees. Xbox goes multi-platform. Balatro, Tango Gameworks is shut down, and then it's not. Nintendo Music exists and was revealed. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, I don't think anyone expected that.
No.
And Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo. Who do you think won that category?
Those are all deserving. Alarmo is, I mean, if I'm going like by the letter of the law, Alarmo is very surprising. I don't know if any of us were expecting that, but maybe Tango?
Nope, Nintendo Music won.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's
fair. That actually makes sense. That's on not on the bingo card.
You know what? This one will surprise you, Joe. I know based on your fandom. Best music. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Pacific Drive, Mario and Luigi Brothership, Astro Bot, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and Metaphor Refantasio. What do you think won? I know what you would have voted for.
Yeah, I feel like Metaphor is getting more credit than it deserves in this category across the industry. So
why do you hate electronic music?
I don't hate electronic. I don't hate.
You're like, I remember you were like, it uses MIDI. I'm like, well,
no. Allow me to clarify that.
Clarify what you mean about this.
What I mean is
it just that Final Fantasy's scope is so much larger? Like, what is it?
Well, I do like the scope, but what I mean is when a soundtrack for a game uses a MIDI violin or a MIDI set of violins where you know that the intention was to record an orchestra, right? Like I love Lena Raine's work on Celeste. I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with electronic music.
Okay.
I'm saying there's a cheapness to Metaphor that's so surprising compared to the production of that game on the whole.
And compared to Persona 5 Royal, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I understand that. I was surprised.
That's my take.
I was surprised to see it win here. But you know, that's why we vote. And
sure.
I recommend you watch. I recommend you watch the deliberations for that one, Joe, because I think you'll be yelling at your YouTube
and do you guys
device. Listen
to music? I assume on the.
No, because we don't want to get flagged.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a different story for another podcast, right, Greg? Is Greg still here?
Yes.
Greg remembers.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, if John was here, I would have gone over Best Water with him, but you know, I think that's good. That's a good little taste of what the Shacknews Awards have to offer or had to offer. By the time you're listening to this, these will have already been announced.
So the last one goes live on the 30th, right?
31st. Okay. So we'll have this. This will go live on the 31st in the afternoon. The game of the year, our top 24 indie games of the year will have gone live in the weekend before this video, but the top 10 games of the year, or sorry, the top 24 games of the year and the top 10 game of the year video, those will go live on the 31st alongside this.
Can I ask one more category?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the best graphics category, and I think of Shacknews as a PC outlet first.
Yeah.
So
okay, here are the nominees.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yep.
Astro Bot, Black Myth Wukong, Dragon Age, The Veilguard, Stalker 2, and Tekken 8. Three Unreal Engine 5 games.
I think this is a Black Myth victory.
Nope. Stalker 2.
Okay. Yeah, that feels good.
Which is a technical... it's not everybody's PC can run it well, but when you do have a good PC and you run it at very high settings, it's stunning.
Yeah.
And it speaks to that we're I don't know if you saw it at the Game Awards. We saw a lot of trailers for UE5 games. UE5 is graphically impressive.
Sure.
It allows for really cool stuff to be done. Like what Nate did in the Axis Unseen with UE5 is really impressive, but this is a team of 300 people that had, over 3 years where they were working on this. And yeah, the graphics, and I'd say every game in that category, that was one of the most stacked categories for sure. But yeah, Stalker 2 won.
Cool. Very cool. Thanks for this glimpse behind the curtain.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks to everyone who's watched these videos or read the articles or shared them. Thank you to all the devs who made these games. If you didn't win, but you got a nomination, we still think your game's awesome. We recommend people try out all these games. And if you didn't make the list, it doesn't mean anything about the quality of your game. But yeah, I hope that these awards that we kind of highlighted after the list highlight why we do the Shacknews Awards, because to your point, Like a Dragon is missing from our list, but Like a Dragon is the reason Sega won Best Publisher.
Sure.
So, we try to celebrate as many games as possible with these. And there's over 65 awards. So a lot of people get their flowers, even like NPCs and pets in games and old school throwback or gore. We give an award for the best headshot in a game, you know? Yeah. Oh, I think before we go, the quietest lobby. We'll end with this one. So the quietest lobby, Joe, this is the game that we wish people played more of, but they're not. So here are the nominees, and then I'll let you vote, and then you can, I think that would be the end of this. Foam Stars, remember that game?
Yes.
Concord, remember that game?
Who could forget?
Skull and Bones, the quadruple A game from Ubisoft. Speaking of Ubisoft, X Defiant.
X Defiant.
Yep. Next nominee, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. And last but not least, Nintendo World Championships. NES edition.
If you had a decibel reader, it would be X Defiant. First-hand account.
It's X Defiant. It's X Defiant.
Yeah, hell yeah.
What's really sad about this, Joe, is we recorded the deliberation before they announced the sunsetting of the game.
Wow.
So we like I don't want to say we like saw it coming, but it was why it won over Concord was that it was still there. And now it's like
right.
But yeah, we're not talking smack about any of these games. We wish more people played them. That's what this category is not. It's not a mean-spirited game unless Lawbreakers wins it, but and even then we felt bad for everyone at Boss Key. But yeah, like X Defiant did some really good stuff, and Joe and his friends still play it, and they're gonna save it. They'll turn it around.
Played it two nights ago for some reason. Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, I think that's a good preview of what we got there. But yeah, check out all of our awards. They're on YouTube. They'll also be on shacknews.com and editorial form. There's silly things like the best Strand game of the year. So we have fun with this, and I think it was a really good year for the awards.
No doubt.
So, I know that like people are like, oh, it was a slow year. I'm like,
they're
wrong. I do not feel
the
that way at all.
industry is so big that if it is a slower year than 2023, I didn't see it. Shacknews reviewed more games this year than I think any year I've run the website.
Yeah, this year was ridiculous.
Yeah, it just wasn't. Maybe it wasn't a good year for Xbox games. It wasn't like a great year for first-party Sony titles outside of Astro Bot, right? Like they're just, and I don't mean that like the quality of their games are bad. I just mean there weren't many of them. And then yeah, Nintendo's in this transition year where we got Brothership and we got Zelda, but outside of that, we got like Endless Ocean, Luminous, and MEO, The Smiling Man. Like I'm not saying anything about these franchises other than that they're just kind of smaller. They're not a 3D Mario game, and why would you release a 3D Mario game in year 8 of your console?
Right.
So I think with Nintendo in a holding pattern, Microsoft repeatedly stepping and tripping over their dick, and Sony just kind of in a lull, right? Year 4 lull of their console era. I think those are the things that people are focused on. But if you look at that indie list and you look at our Game of the Year list, there's a lot of games out there that came out this year that deserve praise, and that's what we do.
Amen.
So yeah, that's it.
Wow.
And that's going to do it for our show. If you listen to this whole thing, thank you. And please follow and like and all those things. I talked to Haas Mamu. I don't know if he was logged in on his YouTube, on his app or something, but he's listening. I think he's been a little quiet these last few days.
I was going to say, I didn't get the weekly comment notification, unfortunately.
No, he's been a little quiet on the platforms, but I know he did listen to last week's episode and he enjoyed it, and I'm sure he'll that was 2 weeks ago when you're listening to this, folks at home. But huge supports. Thanks. This is our last episode of the year, so like this is our first year. Thank you, Joe, for producing all this and all the games that you've made and the structure that you helped us with,
My pleasure.
and editing and all these things. And thanks to everyone who's joined us as guests in the Shacknews Extended Podcast universe, or the CPOO, as the kids call it. Thank you to the Ticker for still operating. The Ticker's still operating.
It's on its last legs, but it's going. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like before we go, I know we have that outro where I shout these things out, but yeah, please try out Bubbletron. By the time this podcast goes live, we probably will have shipped the update.
Bubbletron.com.
Yeah. Even if we haven't shipped it, I'll just say what it is. We're adding soundboard functionality to the app, or not an app, to the website. and I think it drastically changes how it feels to play it. It's very funny and silly, and yeah, I put a lot of myself into that website, so I feel like if you ever are missing me, just go to that website. You'll get what I think was an important thing that happened on that day, and you're also going to get my sense of humor in the parameters themselves, but also how I value said parameters. But yeah, I think people should check out Bubbletron. People should check out Shack Pets. We're working on a really, really cool new project at Shacknews that I think is going to continue to differentiate our brand in a increasingly difficult industry. But yeah, we're excited about 2025 and all the everything to come, and we're excited about 2024. This was not an easy year in the games media, and our team dug in, and I think we have done a great job this year covering games, covering news, covering financial news, technology companies, emerging tech like AI, EVs, space technology. So yeah, we'll be back next year doing all those things with an even more refined and focused approach than the previous year. So really excited for you folks to continue to be a part of that, and for this podcast to continue to go on. I'm going to try to cut together some vertical videos for Overbreak, Joe, because there's just like silly things that have happened throughout the year that I think would be fun.
Yeah, for sure. We got a lot of stuff.
I found the rant.
A lot of meat.
I found the New Jersey Turnpike rant.
Oh, you did?
And yeah, episode 22.
Wow.
Actually,
not what I would have guessed.
I didn't find it. Haas Mamu did. He listened to all the cold opens, and he was like, that one. It's like, okay.
Good. That's the best. Thank you, Haas Mamu.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you to everyone else who follows us. And yeah, if you want to share this places, it helps us. If you review our podcast, it helps us. And yeah, that'll do it. What a year. So what a year
indeed. We'll be back on, I think, the 9th of January.
Yes. That would be Shacknews comes back from break on January 6th, which is really unfortunate date. But yeah, 3 days. Yeah. 3 days, 4 days later, we will have another podcast. So we'll be able to react to all the crazy stuff that happened in the last few weeks. Hopefully there's not too much gaming news. And then, yeah, we're going to be on Nintendo Switch watch, Nintendo Switch 2 watch right when we get back. Like the countdown to that reveal is imminent.
Exciting.
Yeah. This is where we wave at the camera, even though it's not on, and say, bye. Thank you.
Thanks,
for
DJ. Thanks, Greg.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Shack Together is a Shacknews production.
Shack Together is a Shacknews production.
Shack Together is a Shacknews production.
Shacknews is a multimedia company consisting of a variety of entertainment properties, including Shacknews.com, video game and cutting-edge technology coverage with evergreen video, guide, and long-read content, providing readers and viewers with the latest reviews, previews, interviews, and news. Shacknews content is readable and viewable at shacknews.com, Facebook, YouTube at Shacknews, Shacknews Interviews, and Shacknews VODs, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Shacknews Media, Twitch, and more. But that's not all. You can play Bubbletron, our first video game. Combine 3 ideas, hit the market, and get your money hat. Bubbletron is a daily game in the style of Wordle, where players can launch a company and see its valuation instantly. Hit that high score and brag to your friends. Visit Bubbletron.com to play. There is no download required, no signups required, but if you are into app downloads, we have the cutest one on the planet. It's called Shack Pets, the ultimate battle for cuteness. Swipe your pets to victory on iOS and Android in this Tinder-like app for pets. Shacknews is proud to present a variety of micro products, all available for free at shacknews.com. Cortex is a publishing platform available to all of our users. Shouts is a Twitter replacement in a time where Twitter really needs replacing. And Reader, an RSS reader that won't get shut down by Google anytime soon. You can import YouTube, subreddits, all sorts of cool stuff, even podcast feeds. And lastly, all of our products are completely free to use and play, so if you're a fan of what we're doing and want to support the Shack News ecosystem, head over to shacknews.com/Mercury. Mercury offers subscribers access to exclusive Shack News swag like hoodies and VIP access to our long reads in downloadable format. It's a great way to support us. There's different tiers, and you get a lightning bolt next to your name.